Hello and welcome to Meet You Double Feature. My name is Thomas, joined as always by my brother Frank. Frank, how's it going?
Oh, I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about some He-Man. A couple of He-fans of He-Man here.
He-fans, so he said.
Yeah. We are, yeah. But before we get to that, before we get to He-Man, real quick, I didn't think we'd have to do this so soon. I knew we'd have to do it eventually, but
we're canceling the podcast.
Well, no, I have to do an apology video. Okay, this is my official apology video. Everybody has to do one of these. Okay.
Well, certain kinds of people have to do them. But
certain
go ahead.
kinds of people that may or may not be me. Okay.
Apologizing for it.
I'm apologizing because on this very program, very recently, we talked about the film Mandalorian and Grogu, and I said I liked it, and that was a mistake.
Okay. I mean, I knew it was a mistake when you said it at the time.
I know.
What caused this? Am I the news reporter at this point? All right, so we're outside the courthouse. Sir, breaking news. You've apologized for your thoughts. Why the change of heart?
Well, because I saw He-Man. I saw this other movie.
Wow, you did not run that bit by me, but that was very well set up. I was like, why are we doing this like aside about Mando Grogu? Where's this going? No, I agree. Yeah, He-Man, I'm glad we're on the same. I was so worried we were not going to be on the same page. He-Man makes Mando Grogu look like Citizen Kane.
Okay, you tell me your thoughts. I knew once again that you would have strong opinions on this, so hit me with it.
I mean, listen, I don't like being the negative guy. Okay, I want to like movies. I want to like new movies. I like He-Man as a character, and I feel like I had no expectations for this film because He-Man as a property has zero depth to it. So it's not like there's anything to draw from. It's just action figures. So I was open to whatever angle they wanted to take with the story of the film. So none of my complaints are about the premise or the changes to the character backstory or any of that stuff. The movie's just abysmally awful. like the entire thing is a 2-hour action comedy that really heavily leans into comedy, and not a single second of it is funny. Like, it is offensively bad boomer corpo comedy that just killed the room I was in. I mean, I went and saw this opening night in a big theater, like one of the whatever they call the XQ screens or whatever, the high-end sound. Abysmal. Nobody laughed, and by the time the movie was over, everyone just quietly shuffled home.
Oh, really? Oh, I had some laughs in my theater. People were guffawing along with He-Man.
Crazy. I was affronted. It's not that hard to do comedy writing in a broad spectrum way. People make fun of the Marvel films for undercutting all of their story beats with jokes, and they do that, but at least those are usually jokes, some kind of a punchline that at least works in a bubble. He-Man is just 2 hours of I think I wrote an entry on the show's Letterboxd account about the film because I was mad when I got home. And
oh, really?
I did this without, Frank has no idea. I said that it's the equivalent of an old sitcom character going well, that just happened, but for the whole time, that's the whole movie.
This is just a quick aside. I saw a clip the other day of this ties into what you're talking about. 2.5 Men. I've seen so much of that show, seemingly against my will.
100%. Yep.
Because it's so familiar to me, and I was just thinking, I was like, I don't think I've ever chuckled, laughed, anything from anything I've ever seen from that show. But I'm trying to think. I think there was maybe one or two things that got a laugh out of me with He-Man. I can't think of them at the moment, but there might have been one or two kind of funny.
I don't know, man. I don't think that every single aspect of the movie was bad. I would say, top of my head, costume designs, totally fine. Production design overall, totally fine. I would even say that some of the action choreography was decently good, but the script itself and the characters, and honestly, the lead performance from the guy playing He-Man, just unfathomably bad to me. Like, maybe.
Oh, I thought he was one of the better parts, actually. I liked his kind of himbo. He was like a himbo character. That was like how they wrote him, at least.
They
But I
wrote
thought
him
he
as
did
that.
okay.
I don't know, man. Like, there's so many. Every joke in the movie is just one of the characters pointing at some aspect of the original He-Man property and just saying out loud, "Isn't that weird?" Like, that's the joke every time. Like, He-Man, Adam gets the magic powers. The story of He-Man's very simple. He got a magic sword, it makes him into He-Man. That's it. So he turns into He-Man the first time, and then after the fight sequence that follows, he goes up and he's like, "Hey, Tila, what happened to my clothes? I had clothes on. Where'd my clothes go? Isn't that weird?" And it's like, that's not a joke. That's like a thing a 10-year-old would think when watching the movie. It's like, why don't Hulk's pants fall off when he transforms? Like, there's no setup. It doesn't go anywhere. Nobody riffs off of that. They just move on. And it's like, that's the movie to me. It's just that over and over again.
Yeah, which is kind of especially odd because I don't think there are that many people in the big 2026 that are that familiar or care enough about the source material of He-Man. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're looking at like, oh, look at this stretchy neck person and Ram Jam or whatever.
Was that a Mandela effect that I thought his name was Ram Jam? Because in the movie he calls him Ram Man. I was like, I swear this guy's name was Ram Jam.
Oh, I honestly I don't know. We should
But
say
you just
and
said
I.
You
Oh,
said
did
it
I
on
say Ram
prompted.
Jam?
You said Ram Jam, so I'm like, did we see Ram Jam? How did that happen?
I don't know. Well, that's what I was going to say. We should point out that you and I watched a decent amount of the original He-Man show long after it aired on what I think was a Chicago, like a local Chicago station that aired like cartoons late at night. So
It would be like 11 p.m. on a weeknight when I was in high school, and I'd be like, boy, I should probably go to bed. But then like the He-Man jingle would come on, and I'd be like, ha ha,
yeah,
today.
yeah. So we liked He-Man, the original show, but the thing that I guess I liked approach-wise with this movie is, like you said, they didn't take anything seriously and just kind of leaned into the fact that there wasn't much of a story to the original show. Because I was trying to think too. I was like, I've seen a lot of the show and I don't really remember any of the lore. I just remember He-Man fighting bad guys. You know, they have that line in the movie about like, why would Skeletor do this? And they're like, he's a skull face guy. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess like just lean into that.
See, that's fine. That's at least a punchline, kind of. That's more of like poking fun at a genre. I was more
Right.
upset by the jokes that were, again, just like, I mean, the spoilers technically for like one of the last things in the movie. They're like, He-Man, or Adam, what did you call yourself when you like were writing these, giving everybody nicknames? And he's like, He-Man. And then everyone just laughs and they go, He-Man? That's redundant. Isn't that weird, Adam, that you'd be called He-Man? And it's like, shut up. Shut up. I was so annoyed. I left before the post-credit scenes because I was so frustrated
Did you
by
really?
this.
You
Yeah.
did. You texted me that. You're like, there's multiple post-credit scenes, but I didn't see them. So
I
was
saw
like-
the one with Orko because it happens immediately, and I was like, okay, there's Orko. That would have been cool. I like at the end of the movie, too, they play the reorchestrated He-Man music, which is fun.
Okay.
And then they're like, now that the movie's finished, here's
Yes.
the music that you would have assumed would be played throughout the entire film as, like, nostalgia baiting. They couldn't even do that right.
That was one of my biggest takeaways because I think when we were talking about Mandalorian and Grogu, we were joking about the Mortal Kombat movie. I saw that one recently too, and it does the exact same thing. Like, you and I, big fans of the 90s Mortal Kombat films. In those movies, they play the Mortal Kombat theme during the fights. Like, during the climax of the film, you hear the Mortal Kombat. In this new one, I don't remember the first one. I don't think anybody remembers the first new Mortal Kombat movie that came out.
Oh, gosh. No. That one was awful.
I have no idea what they did with the song in that one. I'm sure they played it at some point. But this second one, they play the Mortal Kombat song over the credits. And I'm like, why? why are you doing this? And they do the same thing in He-Man.
They wait till the end. Yeah.
I was so certain the second time that he had his big transformation sequence when he was fighting Skeletor, I was like, okay, here it is. This is where you play the He-Man theme. Like,
which would fit the overall tone of the movie, too. It's not like they're trying to, like, ground it a bit more to the point where the song would feel cheesy. It's like the movie is walking around and, like, poking at the sets and going, like, isn't this weird? So it's like you could easily get away with, like, an unironic hit the music He-Man moment. And then they don't.
They just don't do it. I was starting to get like goosebumps. I was like, oh, this is it. I'm ready. This is what, this is a big, this is the climax of the film. This is what it's been leading to. I love the He-Man song. It's so catchy. And so I was ready for it in that moment. And they don't even really commit to playing it at the end. It's like you said, it's like a reorchestrated version.
And they cut it off. They play it for 2 seconds.
Cut it off.
And they homage the old cartoon intro with like the lightning striking above Grayskull. And then they move on. Like, it's very bizarre. Feels like an easy home run, and they just didn't do it for some reason.
Yes, and speaking of the music, they played the other He-Man song that everyone knows, the internet meme version.
The Four Non-Blondes song, yeah. And once again, horribly unmotivated, like, they just slapped it on top of the movie.
I swear, dude, watching that, I was thinking, this had to have been a note that they got, because there's no way that was the original score for that scene.
It doesn't go with it at all.
They just drop it on top of a scene that's happening. And I was just thinking that there must have been like a test screening, or they got a note back that they need to put this song in the movie and they didn't know where to put it. And so they just threw it over that scene.
I would go further. There's a lot of additional layers of pathetic, unfunny uncle comedy that are stapled on top of the film after it was filmed.
Unfunny uncle comedy?
You know, like when you're at a family gathering and you have to talk to a relative you don't know, and they're trying to be like fun so that you'll like them more, and they're not funny?
This is a very specific dig.
You know, like when we go to a family function. And this is not as broadly appealing. But the other thing that bothered me that was like a post-production thing, right, is that Teela has a spaceship. Teela is He-Man's friend. She's the like hyper-competent one opposite Adam, who lived on Earth, and so he's a bumbling idiot. Teela has a ship with a computer voice like any other sci-fi story. And I swear they were just like band-aiding on jokes from the onboard computer voice that the characters don't react to in the movie. Did you notice that?
The only one that comes to mind is when she's like, the ship says something about a hull breach, and she says, like, what's our status? And the ship says, I have a breach in the hull or something. That was the only
they do
joke
like
I
a
remember.
Son of a breach thing where, like, she almost swears and then the computer cuts her off. But the first time you interact with it, Teela and Adam are, like, leaving back to Eternia, and she says something to him like, oh, like, this is gonna get a bit weird. And then she's like, all right, computer, like, open the portal. And then the computer goes, like, opening the portal and preparing to get weird, which is like a little flourish, but the characters don't react to it, like, visually at all. And it just feels like something they, like, stapled in. And there was at least one other time where, like, there's an action scene happening where they're flying the ship and the computer's making jokes again. And the characters are, like, not even shown in close-up as if they can tell it's happening. So again, I'm like, I think someone was just going over this movie when it was finished, and they were like, guys, I know it's flippin' hilarious already, but what if we added more jokes?
Yeah, I think, once again, this ties back to my apology. I think I think this movie worked a little bit more for me than it did for you, but I don't know. It's hard to compare. I am comparing this to Mandalorian and Grogu in my head because they're both attempts at the same thing. They're both attempts at kind of a crowd-pleasing summer blockbuster type movie. I guess where would you would say Mandalorian and Grogu was more entertaining than this movie for you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, again, it's almost like everything that the He-Man movie, which technically is called Masters of the Universe, is trying to be is just smothered underneath its dialogue and character writing, which is abysmal. He-Man's presentation, there's so many things in He-Man that just fundamentally don't work, whereas Mando Grogu, I could tell what it was doing and just found it sort of boring. Like, there's nothing in that one on par with, I'm trying to think of another good example, like the beginning of the He-Man film, right? He's trying to find the Sword of Power because he had to flee Eternia when Skeletor attacked. He landed on Earth, but he lost the sword, and apparently his entire adult life has been looking to find it. So they do this thing where some random shady number texts him, and he's like, hey, I found your magic sword. And he has to go pick it up at like a nerd memorabilia store. And did you notice that like that character as a bit just didn't really make any sense?
The person who texted him?
Yeah, there was no obvious payoff. Like there
was no conflict to that scene. It was
no
just
conflict with that guy. The usual thing would be either the guy doesn't have the actual sword. He shows him some stupid like barbarian foam sword prop, and the He-Man has to be like, that's not it. Or like he's a character that has kind of like a weird quirk that they get into. But instead, the entire joke of that scene is Adam just approaching the wrong people in the store and asking if they're the guy that they're supposed to meet. But then when he meets the guy, he's just like, there it is. And it's like, that's not funny. That's not interesting. Like, as a viewer of the movie, we haven't seen him struggling to find this. He just like put in a Craigslist ad and was like, hey, where's the sword? And the first guy who offers it up is just like, yeah, it's right there. And like unironically was helping him. You know what I mean? Like there's no subversion there to make any of that funny. It's just, they just move on to a different joke about him like awkwardly trying to free the sword from the mannequin hand.
That whole sequence of events was clunky because then after that scene, he gets arrested. But that doesn't really even lead to anything because then that just gets interrupted by... I was trying to think of this character's name during the movie because I know he showed up in the show. Was it Beastman?
Beastman, yep.
Okay. Because Beastman just attacks, and that's when they start playing the He-Man meme song. And at that point, I was just kind of thinking, like, something felt off. I was like, there's something weird about that. Like, the guy texted him, he goes to get the sword, and then he just does. But then, okay, I guess the foil is that he gets arrested for doing that, but then that just gets interrupted.
There's no thought out comedic bit underneath any of these sequences. It's like they'll come up with the premise for a comedic scene and then get distracted coming up with unrelated jokes. You know what I mean? Because the only jokes with the cops are like a thing where one of the police officers calls him Highlander and then laughs at him, and then the other one tries to think of another example and then just settles on also calling him Highlander. And it's like, there's no joke where he's at the police station in the interrogation room and we're getting a repeat of him trying to explain that he's from like, these are comedic premises, and then the movie has no interest in actually using the premises. At which point it's like, why are we doing this scene at all?
That's what was so strange to me. I was like, why have him get arrested if you're not going to have a scene then of him at the police station? That's just like movie logic. That's the language of cinema.
You could cut out 2 beats and just have him get attacked by Beastman on the way home, and nothing changes.
Yeah, or Beastman attacks him at the police station, and you get a more interesting... Because the other thing that really bugs me about this movie, and I it's hard not to keep comparing it to Mandalorian and Grogu, but that had a very similar thing, which I think we even mentioned. This movie was so very clearly using those like 1/3 sets, and like everything else behind them was just visual effects.
Mm-hmm.
It was so, even when I think that what did you call it? Nerd memorabilia store? I think that was...
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. I think it was like a comic book shop, but I had to distance myself from all the nerds.
Get all those nerds out of here.
Even though during the scene, I was like, there's a Power Rangers figure back there.
Oh, was there? I noticed there was 2 instances where there was very clear shots of Zelda posters, like Legend of Zelda posters.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is that so intentional? Like they were like almost center frame. One was like in the apartment he shared with that guy. He had like a Breath of the Wild poster on the wall. And when he was in that store, there was like an Ocarina of Time poster.
There was, which again, it's like Nintendo has no connection. So why? I understand it's like sword and sorcery inspiration, but why not make the primary thing like Conan the Barbarian, like the statue?
Yeah, it's just the fact that it was literally Zelda, like this trademarked property, and they were highlighting it. So it was just odd. I didn't expect to see 2 Zelda posters in a He-Man movie.
Yeah, it was weird.
But that was just one of the only real locations. That and some of the driving scenes maybe, but almost the entire time they're in Eternia, it's all, VFX backdrops. And
Okay, yeah, that was my confusion because the highway scene where Beastman attacks actually is a fairly expensive looking set piece, which is further evidence of like why not do the police station gag. It's not like it was a budget thing.
and that would have been more interesting just to me. And also, again, why set it up that way? Why
Also,
have him get
if they had
arrested and then
done-
just undercut that?
The movie obviously is trying to homage like 80s action stories. Why not do the police scene? Because then you could rip off Terminator. There's a
Yes,
whole
exactly.
scene in the first Terminator where Sarah Connor gets arrested and they think she's crazy because she's telling a crazy story, and then the Terminator shows up and like annihilates the police station. Like you could specifically homage that and then have him just be like, "I'll be back." Isn't that weird? Did you guys see that movie? It's weird, isn't it? And then that's the scene.
Also, just anything. I mean, yes, that would have been better than nothing. Sorry, not to just breeze past that.
Notice how those things aren't funny.
Yeah.
It's very illustrative.
I was just thinking too. Nothing set up Beastman showing up. There was no. Like maybe the scene where he's going to the nerd memorabilia store to look at the sword, and you get like even just some kind of behind the shadows, over the shoulder type stuff of somebody following him, or some kind of introduction that Beastman or someone is here in the real world following Adam. It's just he just jumps on screen out of nowhere.
Jumps on screen with like 2 seconds of buildup. You even could have a better setup that when the police have him in the car, they're hearing like something on their police dispatch about like an animal sighting, or like a little bit of teasing to build up to there's a literal beast monster here. And then on top of that, Beastman shows up one other time to get like beat up by Skeletor and then doesn't even come back for the finale. So it's like, again, I know he's a character from He-Man.
He was there in the finale. Because he fought, what's the tiger's name?
Oh, Battle Cat. Cringer.
Yes, Cringer,
Oh, I'm
yes.
sorry. You're right. Cringer does fight Beastman. Okay, never mind. Well, we're seeing that point. I'd like to issue an apology, and we all have to do this.
Right back at the courthouse.
Back at the courthouse.
You were wrong about He-Man. Also, you didn't watch the post-credit scenes, so did you really see the movie?
Let me guess. She-Ra shows up.
Yeah, oh, you didn't even stay that long?
No.
That's okay. So that's funny. There's multiple post-credit scenes.
I saw the Orko one, which is funny, where he kind of does a send up to the end of the old episodes, where it's like, what was the lesson of the story? That one was fine.
See, yes, that's the thing. That's kind of a point I was trying to get to earlier with the whole making fun of Mechanic and Ram Jam or whatever. No one, I don't think most of the people that I saw that movie with in that theater knew who any of those other characters were going in. They knew He-Man. Right?
Yeah. They know He-Man and Skeletor. That's it.
Exactly. Unless you're a fan of He-Man, unless you stayed up till 1 a.m. watching He-Man and She-Ra and Lone Star like we did, like you're not going to know who these other characters are, so these jokes aren't going to land because you don't care.
Yeah. That whole bit is maybe like the epitome of my frustration with the story because it's harped on constantly. They set up that these side character heroes have silly action figure names, but that in the context of this movie, Adam gave them those names as a child. So when he comes back, he's like, it's Fisto. And Fisto's like, what? Why'd you call me? Like, and then they do some stupid fisting joke. But like, the movie never actually gives them alternate names to help sell this bit. They're not like, oh, that's Joe. They just say, that's Fisto. No, it isn't. That's Fisto. And that's it. They can't even think of like what he should be called in order to sell this at all. And then also, they get used to the nicknames at one point during the big like speech scene towards the end, and then come back around to still not liking the nicknames in the final battle scene. So I'm like, all right, this is just poorly integrated and really central comedy that is unfunny. And to your point, Frank, like, who would even care if you don't already know all these characters?
Yeah, because that's the thing. I liked what the movie did, where it almost just threw everything out the window, or just there wasn't even anything there to really pull on, because these are super stock characters. Like the He-Man show was literally just like, I have the power, Skeletor's the bad guy, and then like,
yeah, exactly.
I liked the approach of leaning into the campiness of He-Man and the idea of making it more comedic, but the comedy wasn't good, and they I don't know, they needed to lean into it in a different direction.
I agree. I would compare it. I didn't even like this movie a ton, but I would say their standard here should have been like that Dungeons and Dragons movie with Chris Pine.
That was actually a good movie. I like that one.
I liked it okay, but like the main thing in that one is they approach the like Dungeons and Dragons world with a similar level of absurdist comedy, but like in context the characters accept it, and that's what makes it funny. Like I think there's a joke where um one of the characters talks about her husband for like half the story, or her ex-husband, and then they get there and he's like a dwarf race or something that's literally like a foot tall. And so it's just a sight gag that they walk in and they're like, there he is, and he's like itty bitty man. But the characters don't say, why is he so small? Isn't it weird that he's small? Like that's not the joke, it's just them pointing and laughing. It's you incorporate it into the story to make a comedic punchline. And He-Man just refuses to do that. It just does like cringe oopsie daisy comedy. And again, I don't think the main character does a good job of selling any of it.
That's interesting because I thought because I was thinking while watching his performance, trying to think back again, we watched a lot of that show, but I was like, does He-Man have a character? Like, how does He-Man or Adam act? And
he's Superman. He's like Silver Age Superman, just totally unbothered, like invincible man.
Yeah, so he really has no character to speak of. So that worked for me, that they tried to make him this endearing kind of himbo character. And I thought that actor did a decent job of that. It was more so, I think it was the writing letting him down more than anything. I thought his performance, he seemed to understand what that character was supposed to be.
I feel like he gave it a good shot, and it's hard material to work with because it's inherently not interesting. But there was a lot of times where he could have maybe elevated a bit with his delivery and never did. Like there's a joke where Man-at-Arms, Idris Elba, who's maybe the best character in the movie just because he's played relatively straight.
Because it's like, Idris Elba too. Like
it's Idris Elba who knows how to like hit the tone they're going for. Him and his daughter Tila have like an emotional embrace after having like a movie-long arc about reconnecting. And then the joke is that Adam walks in and makes it a group hug because he's a big teddy bear. And then, like, that's a joke and that's fine, but they linger on it for like 40 seconds. Like, they're like, Adam, isn't that weird? Why are you giving us a hug too, Adam? And then he lets go and he tries to do the like, oh, yeah, no, totally. I get, yeah, that's not, let's go. And like, he just botches that entire line read to me. Like, it's not funny. And it could have been passable with a more charismatic delivery. I don't know. It didn't help him. I don't think he's a bad actor. I just think that this performance was unimpressive, other than the fact that he was in insane shape to play He-Man.
Yeah, which they tried to like hide throughout the early parts of the movie, that he was insanely jacked, but he looked like the Hulk.
Yeah. That was another scene that bothered me. They wanted a scene where he interacted with Dolph Lundgren, who is the 1980s He-Man. Which is like, whatever. Again, who's even going to remember that?
Yeah, exactly. Who is that for?
Who's that for?
I mean, I understood it.
Yeah, chronically online people or people who want to read the trivia afterwards. But he meets him in a gym, and he's like struggling to lift these dumbbells. And the way they set up the interaction is he asks Dolph Lundgren, any advice for the new guy? Which is supposed to be a very clever double entendre, except that one of them doesn't work. They're like, Adam, I know you're the new He-Man. You're not new to the gym. You're huge.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And the movie just doesn't care. Like, you could easily, with a little bit more thought and maybe not going with your very first idea, make these individual story beats and comic beats work okay. And they just don't try. They go with like the easiest way to just advance the scene, or as we mentioned, set up a piece of comedy and then just don't follow through with it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the ways that the movie worked more so for me than it did for you are the ways in which I could see a better version of it. Because I like some of the choices they made.
Okay.
I like that they leaned into the comedy, especially to give He-Man that character, to make him this like you said, this like teddy bear type character. I like the idea of him, it made sense in the story that they were telling that his dad thought he was weak and small, so he went and, because there's weights in like his room. His room in the apartment that he lives in looks like one of those like 90s kids rooms where there's just like action figures and stuff all over. So that was kind of weird. But then he also had like weights and stuff. So it's like, yeah, this is the story you're telling, that he went and he got jacked because he was worried that his dad thought he was weak.
Except they didn't, because then half the movie is about how he's not physically strong until he literally becomes He-Man with the magic sword. And it's like, that would work better if he was actually scrawny, but they try to pretend that he grows muscles in that moment in the second act. And it's like, no, he doesn't. Look at him. Like, they could have done the Captain America gag where they put him on a skinny body for like half the movie.
Which that would have been strange too. I'm also glad that I was worried they were going to surf monkey him, which we've mentioned before, and he wasn't going to turn into He-Man until like the very end of the movie. So I'm glad he turns into He-Man about halfway through, and then we get several He-Man sequences from there on out. I thought that was a good choice. It's just there's the ways in which I thought it worked where I could see a better version of this movie with just better writing, better jokes, better editing. Because like even that scene that you were talking about where they do like the group hug, I think it was maybe less so his performance and more so just the timing of that scene. It's like the comedic timing is off, and I think some of that is the direction and some of it's the editing too, to kind of help that performance. I think the performance was not amazing or anything, but I think it was there, and it just needed to be helped instead of like highlighted in a way that didn't enhance it at all.
It needed to move faster. I mean, the only things that the directing did, or like the arrangement of the movie did, felt like very corporate flourishes. The kind of thing that is like a little bit interesting 20 years ago, but you've seen over and over again. Like there's a thing towards the beginning where He-Man comes back from a date that doesn't go well, or Adam, and he goes to bed, he falls face first on his bed, and we jump cut from him lying in the bed at 9 p.m. to like now it's early the next morning without changing the camera. And it's just him still asleep, and then he gets up. And I'm like, that's like a little directing flourish that I probably first saw in like 1995 and feels like something that anyone could think of to do now. There's not a single use of cameras or editing or lighting that feels like an idea that someone had for this movie.
I did like the exact same shot in like the first thing I directed in film school.
Exactly. Like that's what I mean. It's like
So,
if this is the first idea off the top of your head, get a better idea. Or like the movie does, I swear, on 3 or 4 different occasions, a gag where a piece of music starts playing and then He-Man does something awkward or bumbling and the music hard cuts and then it comes back when they resume, which again, if you do once, is fine. But they do it at the beginning when he's trying to start his car. They do it when he gets like thrown into a wall at one point, and then they do it in a big way when they finally play the Princess of the Universe Queen song, where like they try to do a big music cue and then everybody like screws it up and they cut the music. And again, I'm like, you've done this in every act of the movie, so this doesn't hit either.
yeah. What was the concept? That song, was that written for like the 80s He-Man movie, or is that just unrelated? That's just a Queen song. I just don't know.
Great question. I know Queen wrote music for Highlander. We talked about that. I don't know if they wrote, because what do they say? They say Princes of the Universe, or do they say Masters of the Universe?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. The context of that was a little lost on me. I will say, this made me want to go watch the Dolph Lundgren He-Man movie, because I've never seen that one.
Same.
And I know it was, like, it bombed at the box office, and I think it was critically panned, but I don't know if that one has kind of developed a cult status since then. Like, it might actually be kind of good in some ways. I'd like to watch that one and compare the two, because this ties back to something we've mentioned before. I actually think He-Man is a good property to adapt because there's so little there. You can just take this character that's iconic in his own way. I mean, tons of people, like I said, and like you said too, people know Skeletor, they know He-Man, even if it's just from the early 2000s memes, they know them because they're funny and campy and like kind of queer. I did like that Skeletor was thirsting after He-Man a bit. He had a few lines of dialogue where he seemed like he was pretty horny for He-Man.
Because that totally feels like how it's portrayed in the 80s show. Like he's playing it so campy that it does feel like there's almost romantic tension between him and Skeletor. So that was fine. I will say, maybe we should touch it. I saw some other people's Letterboxd reviews when I was a rage posting about the movie the night I saw it. And multiple people were like, uh-oh, Jared Leto turned in a good performance. I was like, I did not highlight anything about his performance. It felt very just kind of there.
No, I honestly think they could have brought in an actual comedian or someone with who was more of a voice actor, and that performance would have been elevated. I thought his was actually really flat because his voice was so heavily modulated.
Could barely understand it.
Yeah, oh, seriously, there was a lot of lines where I was wishing there was subtitles on screen because I couldn't understand what Skeletor was saying.
And I figured out why. There's a piece of trivia that's already up, supposedly from a press interview, where he said he was trying to think of how someone would sound if they didn't have lips. And I was like, better idea, Jared. How would someone sound if they were a good actor? Let's start there.
That's so stupid.
What if they were in a good, funny movie?
Yeah, it's a cartoon. You're like, you're a talking skull. That just like misses the point in such a weird way because he's such a weird man.
It's a weird. Honestly, I thought Jared Leto did better in Tron last year than he does in this. But I think a lot of people feel like, oh, finally, like, at least Jared Leto didn't mess this one up. And I'm like, no, he did. Like, he did not provide a strong foil. The only things he did that were visually funny was a scene towards the end where he goes inside Adam's brain and starts like popping up in his memories from being on Earth. Like, that was kind of visually funny, but like, that's not Jared Leto. That's like a costuming gag.
Yeah, exactly. I assume Jared Leto wasn't in that costume playing Skeletor. I think he just did the ADR voice lines.
I believe he was. I think he was in sort of a muscle suit, like acting the scenes. But again, who cares? Like, it's just that added.
Might as well not have been. Yeah, I don't care.
Like, the main Skeletor bit I remember is like his first big scene. They do like, again, a 30-year-old like Naked Gun joke where he does an evil laugh that goes on for too long and everyone doesn't know when they're supposed to stop laughing, and then he yells at them about it. And it's like, dude, come on. Like, this is not inspired comedy writing. It's like somebody just wrote this on the back of a napkin and turned it in. They're like, I don't know. Haha, and then that's it.
It's not even Naked Gun. It's like a less funny version of an Austin Powers joke where
or like it's like the Master of you remember Master of Disguise, the Dana Carvey movie?
Of course,
they
I
do
remember
a gag.
Master of Disguise. You don't have to ask that question.
No, but that one does a spoof joke where every time the villain tries to laugh, he farts on accident, and it's like that's what Skeletor's doing, and it's like that movie's a spoof. This movie is semi-spoofing He-Man, but is supposed to also work on a more like normal level too. The joke is not supposed to be that the movie's bad. The joke in the movie's eyes is that He-Man is dumb. But like, I don't know, I just didn't like it.
No, I didn't. I mean, I'm glad we didn't have to see Jared Leto. That's nice. But again, I get what they were going for. I can see the potential in the ideas that they had. They knew enough to make He-Man funny, to make Skeletor funny, to lean into certain things. It was like they had all of the ingredients. They just put them together wrong or poorly. Honestly, if they'd had the guys who wrote the new Naked Gun movie, if they had been the writers on this movie, I think it would have been kind of amazing. Like, take the same stuff that's all already there. You don't even really have to change the story because the story's, it follows pretty standard beats, but just if the comedy was punched up and executed correctly, I think I would have loved this movie.
Well, and that's our conflict here. Not conflict, but like that's the difference of opinion is for me, for them to create all this potential that works at least as like a serviceable nostalgia grab movie and then just botch every single joke for the entire runtime, to me makes the movie land as just being like an awful viewing experience. And I think that I agree, they kind of almost had it. They knew where to go, but if you fumble that hard, your movie sucks. So, like, I just don't feel as kind towards it. Whereas Mando Grogu was boring, but I don't know, like, it aimed low and scored, whereas He-Man aims medium and just totally misses.
Yeah. I mean, Mando Grogu, again, to compare it to this, and again, to my apology, Mando Grogu...
Back in front of the courthouse, everybody.
Back in front of the courthouse. Mando Grogu, I knew going in what that was. I knew it was essentially just a chopped together version of a season of the show. I wasn't expecting it to be a movie even. So when talking about the ways that I kind of liked that, it's because I was expecting almost nothing from it. And I wasn't expecting much from this either, but I was expecting a movie. whereas that wasn't my expectation there. It
Mhm.
was here. And yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying. It's what we actually got was not good, but I saw the potential, and it's almost more frustrating that they, to me, made a lot of the right choices they needed to make, and it sucked. And it was really
Yeah.
bad.
Really. I mean, and like that. So we're kind of saying the same thing almost, like acknowledging that
Yeah.
they almost had it.
Because they could have, just real quick, they could have, the other version of this that I'm picturing is if they took it in a more Marvel-esque direction, like really even more by the numbers, and just kind of almost ignored the campiness of He-Man and just tried to make him a traditional superhero. That would have been awful. So they at least knew enough to take it in this direction. It was just the way it was executed was upsetting. And
It's tiresome. Yeah, like I
Yeah.
said, I was at the end of that movie and I was just like, I know She-Ra's probably going to show up as soon as these credits, roll over, but I'm done. I'm moving on. I'm going to shuffle out like all the other zombies in this theater who are just kind of like, all right, He-Man.
Yeah. Like I said, the theater I saw it in, people were laughing. People enjoyed it. I think a lot of people.
All right, well, that's 2 in a row where your LA Angelinos seem to really like the movies. What does that say? What does that say about them, huh?
They're pretty stupid. Bunch of dum-dums.
Me and my LA crew, we don't care what you put on screen. We're just going to laugh
Whatever.
anyway.
I'm here for you. I'm
Yeah.
here for you, movie.
All right.
They clapped for Nicole Kidman again. That's all.
Did they? Did they actually clap for Nicole Kidman again?
I swear to God, dude, it's like the pops are getting
Gosh.
louder and louder for Nicole Kidman.
No. They should have had. Okay, that's your joke for He-Man, is have Nicole Kidman show up and just start talking in her AMC movie ad voice.
Oh my God! See, again,
That fits in this movie.
literally, I honestly think that tonally, like, you nailed it. Bring the Naked Gun guys in here and just make this movie completely absurd. Keep the action, because like you said, I actually liked, like, in the first act when Man-at-Arms Idris Elba was like fighting people and being very charismatic. I was just like, can the movie just be about him? I would watch this movie if he's the main character.
I liked, oddly, of all the Skeletor villains who got propped up by this, Trapjaw came out looking awesome. Him versus Man-at-Arms was like a good action beat. Oddly, like, kind of brutal. Like, the movie wasn't bloody, but He-Man walks around like, there's a scene where he like rips the horn off of a devil creature, stabs that
him
thing
with
in the
it.
neck, and just kind of
Yeah.
watches him die for a second. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa. Like, why? This almost conflicts with some of the thematic language of the movie, which I will say
think
also
it absolutely did.
was fine. Like, if we're talking like what's the point of the story and like what was the angle here, totally serviceable goal. It's about like what does a non-toxic male role model look like, and how it's not just being like brash and violent, but it's also not just being nice and polite. He-Man has like the line of the movie at the end where Skeletor tells him like, you don't even know how to use your power. And he says, I know how to use it. I just prefer not to. And I'm like, that's it. You wrote an arc for He-Man and for the movie that I can get behind. Now, if the rest of the movie was just funnier, A+, but it isn't. So I'm leaving.
Oh yeah, because again, I mean, I feel like I'm harping on the same point here, but I even like the aspect that Adam in the real world, he worked in HR and like he tried to use those like HR skills that he learned to de-escalate conflict. But then, like you said, I guess that was supposed to be like a low moment for him when he got into that fight, because that was like the wrong thing for him to do, was to just kind of brute force his way through that situation. They also kind of glossed over the fact that he was the one that killed his dad.
What was that? What was that about? Like, that was supposed to be a big moment to sell that narrative that he can't just brute force his way out or he could hurt someone on accident. But they just blow over that scene. They're like, Adam, you just unforced error murdered your own dad, and we've moved on.
And then that's just not what the next scene is about. The next scene is like, okay, we got to get back on our feet and rally together. And I was like, no, wait a minute. You just killed your dad. Like, why
exactly.
are we not?
He gets back to base and he's just like, all right, so I fought Skeletor. I killed my dad. He took the sword. And they're like, what was that last part? And he's like, took the sword? And they're like, no, before that.
Sword.
Fought Skeletor?
Yeah, it's just like, I couldn't believe that they brushed over that. It was just so, because it seemed so purposeful. And that is literally what happened on screen. Like, he shoots a blast back that misses Skeletor and drops a bunch of rocks on his dad and he dies. It's just...
Like, that's the one moment where you should hold for drama. And they try to, but like the wrong drama, because instead they play it as if Skeletor killed his dad and they're like sharing a last moment together. His dad also lies to his face. He's like, I didn't just want to bully you. I cared about you. And it's like, you were on screen for 1 second.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all you did was bully that child. Where did we see that this was what you cared about? Like, the movie didn't show that.
Absolutely not. Also, that scene, like, he walks in there and he's just beating all these guys up. And I'm watching it thinking, like you mentioned, I'm like, okay, he's like Superman. He's indestructible. In the scene prior to this, he fell off that speeder bike he was on. And she was like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm not damaged at all. And so I'm watching this scene and I'm like, okay, so where's his kryptonite? You know, and where's the actual vulnerability of this character? And then they have the moment where he kills his dad, and I was like, okay, I kind of see what you're going for here. He may be indestructible, but he has to, you know, with great power comes great responsibility or something along those lines. He has to, you know, he can't just brute force his way through this. And then, like, they brush past the death scene that was his fault, and then Skeletor just bonks him on the head and knocks him out. So I'm like, oh, so he's not even indestructible then. Like, he is vulnerable.
Did he hit him with the sword of power, though?
No, he hit him with his Skeletor stick.
Oh, see, now that's bad. I really don't like the, like, knocked out to scene transition trope. You could have done it here as a joke, where he gets knocked. Again, anything here that feels like a joke that could write itself would be like they knock him unconscious and then he gets up and they're like, He-Man, oh my God, we thought you were dead. Like, you were unconscious for 18 hours. Like, how are you still, we thought your brain activity had stopped. Like, some sort of like, we'd actually be so worried if somebody got concussed and was out for more than like 8 seconds.
Yeah, because that's a movie thing. That's not real. If you get knocked out like that, yeah, you're probably dead. Like,
that's what I mean. So it's like, that's a setup where it's like you could plug in a joke when they find him in like the prison cell or whatever. But instead they move on.
Also, as you mentioned, they had that joke earlier where he transforms into He-Man, his clothes are gone. He gets bonked in the head. You don't see it. He turns back into Adam, and then he just has his regular clothes back on. And so it's like...
Great time to set up the joke again. If you're going to do a callback, they could be like... Or, again, do a joke where Teela is like, oh, thank goodness I found your clothes earlier. You were naked when they brought you back.
Yes.
Like some sort of character-motivated joke that has internal context and is not just pointing and laughing at the thing you just spent millions of dollars making a movie out of.
Yeah. Also, him and Teela, they have that scene where, like, it seems like they're going to kiss, and then they, like, she awkwardly is like, haha, we're just friends, and then that never comes back. So, like, but, like, clearly the intention with that scene was that there was a romantic interest between the two of them, but they were just trying to, like, downplay it in the moment, but then by the end of the movie, they are just friends, and there's no romantic angle at all. So why even do that scene?
That's more like focus testing. I know there's a lot of sensitivity around like just putting your male and female leads together as a couple at the end of every movie now, because the kids don't like it. I don't know. There's some study supposedly that like they're trying to take any sense of, I don't know.
Well, then just put He-Man and Skeletor together then. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Why?
Literally, like...
That would have been a great ending for that movie if instead of fighting Skeletor, like, they just started making out. Like, that was his conflict resolution.
Or if they literally just... He tells Skeletor, like, just drop it and we'll all be good together. And he just says yes. Like, he just, like, goes along with it. And then we get, like, a long cut, like, you know, montage of Skeletor.
Like,
the nice
frolicking
guy.
with Skeletor.
Yeah.
Like...
That's your, like, we don't care at all ending. But, like, the movie kind of acted like that was the tone it wanted to have. Not to say that Teela and He-Man should have been put together, like, but again, to your point, why introduce that at all? Why not just play the movie straight and not even really draw why not make it like one of the Rock's movies where there's just no romantic interest from anybody?
The Rock, Dwayne?
Oh, that's like a thing. If you look at all of his films, like there's like no love interests really. Like he'll have characters in his films that function in that way from a trope perspective, but like he never kisses anybody, they never get together, like he's just Action Man and that's it.
Oh, interesting. I don't really watch a lot of Dwayne movies, but...
That's what they're called. All right, so we got action, mystery. Where are the Dwayne films?
The DJs. Where are the DJs at? But it's just... You could have played that scene where, like, he thought she was interested, and then she very clearly was like, nah, we're just friends. But they were both very like awkward and like ha 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 about it. So it seemed like the intention was that they were interested in each other.
That's for He-Man too, all right? They got to leave that open.
I guess so. Or She-Ra, whatever the next movie is going to be.
Man, I would have been... Here's the thing. If the movie was at least serviceable, I would have just held on to all my anticipation for a She-Ra movie, because She-Ra's cast of like characters, like her sidekicks, are just awful. Like, it's
God,
like...
they're so bad. Yeah.
She-Ra is like bottom of the barrel, like Generation 9 Pokemon designs, where they're like, we have nothing left. Your sidekick is like an old witch and a broom. Like, it's not... There's nothing here. And that would have been funny. But honestly, if they make another... I don't know how the movie's doing financially. Time of recording, it came out like 2 days ago. But I'm out. I'm out unless they like completely revamp the writing team. And there's no reason for them to do that. Because if it's successful as it is, they'll just make another one.
Yeah. The end?
The end. Stay tuned for Brave Star.
The He-Man music is so good. I'm so upset that the movie would have completely won me back if they had just played the music. Just give me what I want.
Okay, give me what I want. Okay, I have a theory about how to score an action adventure movie. After seeing Mando Grogu, and I tested it with this one, I realized that the reason that Mandalorian and Grogu doesn't work as an action adventure movie is that you couldn't match it up in a music video to the song Holding Out for a Hero by Bonnie Tyler. Because if you put that song over virtually any other movie that is good, it's like goosebumps. Like, I tried this out because I was telling my wife, I was like, listen, if you go in right now and type in Holding Out for a Hero, Revenge of the Sith, you're going to find 17 music videos that somebody made a decade ago.
I've seen them all. I made them.
You made all of them. You saw all of them. And of course, I did. But then when I was looking at those, I found that somebody made Holding Out for a Hero for Rise of Skywalker, the last sequel movie. After watching that 1 minute MV, that's my favorite Star Wars movie, because that's how well the song goes over that scene at the end where Kylo Ren turns good and shows up with a gun. Totally works.
Shows up with a gun? Does that actually happen?
Well, okay, we're getting off track. Kylo, when he turns good at the end of Rise of Skywalker, shows up with like a Han Solo blaster because he's a good guy now.
Oh my gosh.
Not like a revolver.
I thought he was just like a Tommy gun. Like
Yeah. Say hello to my little friend, but it's all the like laser noises.
Pew, 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 pew.
But like Holding Out for a Hero, if people aren't familiar, it's the song they play in Shrek 2 when Shrek is like storming the castle. Also a great scene. You could put that over so many like subpar movies, but in doing it, you kind of get the emotional heart of the movie from it because it's so broadly applicable. And if you put that song over Mando Grogu, you get nothing because it's too sleepy and low energy. And if you put it over He-Man, it still doesn't work because they don't have enough to show you that's actually like dynamic, and there is no emotional heart to the movie. So it still doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, if Idris Elba is the main character, you could put it over his scenes, and I think it would work. You'd have to edit around all the other stuff, but
that's true. Holding out for an Idris Elba, yeah. Holding out for a Man at Arms, that could work. I'll upload it in 240p. Holding out for a Knuckles, yeah. So anyway, that's my new barometer for if a modern blockbuster works. Play Bonnie Tyler over it, see what you get. And He-Man does not pass the test, unless, again, it's Man at Arms specifically.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I'm gonna have to go rewatch Rise of Skywalker. Never mind. That's a terrible idea.
Straight up.
I'm not gonna do that.
If you put Bonnie Tyler over it, it's a good movie.
If you put Bonnie Tyler over like 3 minutes of the end of the movie, the whole movie is a good movie.
I dare you to try. Prove me wrong.
I won't. So we'll see you next time. I'm gonna do the sign off this time.
Oh, good.
Thanks for joining us. What does the other guy say? The other guy's you.
Me. I'd like to apologize for my previous statement.
Apologize. Yeah, this has been a very long apology video.
Stay tuned for our cryptocurrency scheme.
Oh, yeah. We got a pump and dump on the way.
You can't say that. You can't say that. Is that the
He-Man.
She-Ra music? Have I been doing the She-Ra music this whole time?
No, I think that's He-Man. I think.
Oh no, it
that's
isn't.
He-Man.
It's He-Man is you know? We're off air now. This is no way this is it.